Hi, welcome to New Hampshire Politics and Policy on Channel 96, Nashua Public Television. I'm State Senator Cindy Rosenwald, and I represent Senate District 13, Nashua Wards 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And today I have with me candidate for the State House, Shelley Devine, running in Ward 1. First-time candidate, but not new to New Hampshire or Nashua. Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's really quite an honor,
It's
actually.
great to have you here. This is the first time we've ever had a chance to really sit down and talk. And tell us about you,
Well,
your background.
I grew up in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Ran through the woods.
In
growing up.
Nashua?
In Nashua, yep. New Searles School went there, so we had a lot of fun growing up before all the housing developments, kind of went in there and stuff. So a lot of running around through the woods as kids and really loved it, And then went to high school here, and then my family moved to Merrimack, so we went to middle school and high school in Merrimack, and then went to college up in Manchester. So all of my education was here in New Hampshire. And then I ventured out of state and moved to Boston and spent half my life there and raised a family, 2 kids. Had the dog, had the picket fence, and then, started a business for myself and then moved back up here to help caretake for family. My grandmother lived up here still, so before she passed away, I would come back and forth and help out with her caretaking. And then I decided to stay up here. I have friends up here, reconnect with them, and have been doing that for the last 5 years now.
Wow. So the pull of Nashua reeled you back in.
It did. I have really good family and friends and stuff here. Actually, friends that are my family. My folks passed away early on, back when I was in my 20s, and so we have had that loss. Like so many people have. Maybe, but you
had your grandmother.
But I had my grandmother, and she really was. I mean, she came out of that era of World War II, and so she she was really the sound stable person in my life, and so she really influenced me in a lot of ways over the years. To make me who I am today, because she was kind of like the backbone in our family. So missing her was a big part of, too, me staying here. I didn't want to, let her house go and all that. So it's just, and then a lot of good friends around in our neighborhood.
And so you said you started a business in Mass. What was that?
I'm an outdoor fitness boot camper.
Oh.
I've been running it for over 10 years, and I think my New Hampshire heritage of running amok, climbing things in the winter. Oh yeah, year round.
So what do you do at Outdoor Fitness Boot Camp?
We exercise. We run through it's in Boston, so we're running up and down, hills, doing push-ups, kind of, a military style sort of thing. All year.
All weather?
All weather, rain or shine, up until pretty much COVID hit. And then that was really the only time that I really had that kind of, this is out of my sphere. We have to actually stop and do this differently. I'm not going to be doing live classes at that time
even
down
outside.
There. We didn't even know. There's a lot of, potential for, you're running around outdoors. It's not like you have if somebody dropped and had fell or something like that. There's not. You're out in the open, so getting someone to safety or calling and getting some help wouldn't be all that well. And I felt like wearing masks you know, people could hyperventilate.
Right.
Exercise outdoors, the way we do it, it's much more intense. I think anybody that has ever come to my classes, they know it's more intense than going to, say, a gym. And, you know, you're on a treadmill or something, or you know, jogging or whatever, lifting weights. It's a bit different.
Yep. And so you run your business in Massachusetts still?
Yes, I still do that. And since COVID hit, I've had to kind of readjust. And I did get my New Hampshire real estate license and my Massachusetts real estate license this year. And so, you know, doing that, new ventures, and it got me involved in learning about law and, you know, all excited about that. And then I do some consulting with a friend of mine who's a lawyer down in Boston. So I still have a lot of connections out of state, work-wise, but I live up here.
But you know what it takes to run a business.
Yes, I do.
And that is a skill that will really help you in the legislature, because you're the person that, you know, where the buck stops.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. You wear multi hats, and I mean, it's a small business, but it's still a business. It's just, you know, you have a lot of things to do in different ways to keep something running and keep, you know, cash flow, keep everything going.
Small businesses are what built New Hampshire. I mean, that's really, we always say it's the backbone of our economy. So it sounds like you really have the background and experience to be able to think to help small business owners.
Certainly. I think, yes, definitely do. And especially even women who are starting out that might not have the confidence to go out on their own and do something by themselves, to start up, you know, and get something, you know, going for themselves.
So did you learn by doing?
You learn by doing. That's what I'm doing here, too.
Yeah. So tell me about the issues that your neighbors are talking about and that matter to you.
Well, you know, it's a funny thing, because it's what I'm finding as I'm talking to people, you know, whether they're, you know, most often it's either an independent person, which I consider myself independent. I don't necessarily consider myself Democrat or Republican. I've always felt independent. I would choose the person that I was going to vote for. And what I'm finding now, and through years of looking at politics, you know, there's been a lot of disappointment with our major leaders, say in higher government, and people have this kind of cynicism that has infiltrated politics. They look at it and they're like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with that. And I know I've been there. And there's a lot of you know, he said, she said, pointing fingers at different parties. And I think it's starting to become even beyond that, because I know I have been online. I've spoken out about some things, you know, that might be passionate to me, that are maybe in the news currently. But have I ever done anything? Am I really informed? And I think people aren't as informed as they think they are. And I think that's what I'm coming up against. They think that, you know, something is going on, you know, like say with gun policy. They think, you can't go into a school with a gun. And I'm like, yes, you can. No, you can't. And you could start an argument that way. I mean, I've been at pool parties, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go find out. And I'm going to actually find out, and I'm going to report back to you. And then when I get back and I say, no, this is actually what's occurring now. These are the laws that are set in place right now. They changed. They aren't the same. When you went and you registered and you got your permit, that's not how it is now.
Right, and now you could bring a gun.
Yes, and
onto
you can.
School policy.
Yes, yes.
And I think most voters in Nashua, anyway, would be shocked.
They are.
To hear that.
They don't believe it when you tell them.
Right.
They do not believe it. And I'm like, look for yourself. So on my website, I'm posting stuff. I'm trying to find information and that people can easily access so that they can look it up for themselves. I have kind of like a journalist background. You know, I've done podcasts, I've written for different publications for sports.
Okay.
And over the years. And so I know you got to kind of fact check.
Yeah,
You got to find out what's actually going on. And I think people, you know, have become a bit complacent, and they're like trusting maybe a certain news channel or a certain, you know, newspaper. I don't even know, because it's like we tend to, I don't want to hear about that anymore. I got my life. I just want to be happy and do my thing.
And people are busy.
Yeah, and they're busy. They got their lives. And then the things that come up, it's easier to point a finger and say, oh, it's because of, you know, so-and-so, this president, that president. And that's not the case. It's because, I believe, it's because we have just not taken an interest in politics enough, myself included. So here I am.
So you're probably learning a lot
I
about
am learning a ton.
New Hampshire's laws.
Absolutely. Learning a ton, and really, you know, digging into, you know, like what the laws are saying, reading some of the things that are, you know, on topic right now. You know, women's rights for one thing. I mean, that's really at risk. And I grew up here, and I used Planned Parenthood as a young girl. And I was, you know, when you were embarrassed to talk to your parents about it. And I got to think that's still the same thing that goes on with young women. And it's like, okay, that's a place for them to go. To defund it makes absolutely no sense to me.
Totally. What the Republicans did has put the health of 12,000 mostly low-income New Hampshire residents at risk. I mean, for a lot of these folks, you know, their access to cancer screenings is now
See, I think people are
jeopardized.
also so misinformed about that, too. They think it's all just abortion.
Very little of it is. And the funds are strictly segregated.
Right.
The state has done its audits. The providers are very careful. They know how to do this. Most of what they do is much more routine health care. But it is jeopardizing women's health, but also financial security.
Absolutely.
If you can't control your own reproductive life.
Not at all, especially
likely going to keep you out of the workforce.
Absolutely. It's definitely an economic issue for women, for sure. And their families.
Yes. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of New Hampshire families and a lot of women whose financial security and work life is at risk. Well, I could talk to you all afternoon, but we're going to be running out of time here. What else would you like people to know about you? Well,
you know, live free or die has always had an impact on me. You know, like, what does that mean? It means responsibility. And to live free takes a great deal of responsibility, as well as to die. You lose your voice. If you are not responsible for your freedom, you lose your voice. I would like to be a voice in Ward 1 for my community, my neighbors, for the state. And not only this state, for surrounding states. I don't have any political ambition, but boy, does that sound like I do, right? And the more you learn about what's going on in our state alone, you know, check me out, ShelleyDevine.com. Look and see what is going on for some of the things that matter to you as people in this community, in our neighborhoods and in our cities.
Best of luck to you. I know you're working hard. I wish you the best of luck. You've been watching New Hampshire Politics and Policy on Nashua Public Television. I'm State Senator Cindy Rosenwald. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, Cindy. I really appreciate it.
This was fun.
It was fun.